Hi, Com210, it's Jocelyn, your TA. I promised you a how to Google unit and I wanna make sure we get you that information, okay? So I'm gonna share a PowerPoint and then do some quick demo. Gives you really basics how to Google. Even if you think you already know how to Google, stick with me. I might have a tip that might help you, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen. As you have questions about this, if you run into a weird issue, Google it or send me an email and we'll figure it out, all right? Okay, so quickly today, we are going to be talking about how to Google, right? I'm going to give you a quick pep talk. I'm going to talk about why you should Google things specific to you and your machine. I'm going to tell you to learn what things are called before you try to Google them. We're going to talk about Boolean terms and then giving back. And then I'll do a quick demo, okay? Here we go. Pep talk. We all have to Google things. I know a ton of folks in the tech industry that have been programmers for 15 to 20 years that still have to Google things. It's super normal. We all do it. It's a great source of information. So do not be embarrassed about having to Google something, okay? Here's a meme for you. I'll give you a second to read it. Okay, we are all learning together in this class. So don't be embarrassed about having to Google the most basic thing, from how do I right click on a laptop to how do I change a file extension to I can't find where Photoshop is located on my machine, okay? Google it so that you learn it. That's what's important. When you are Googling, it's super important to be really specific to your machine. This generally comes in Mac versus PC, along with adding the name of the program you're using. So if I am Googling a question, I might want to include Mac or PC at the end of my question, along with the kind of program I'm using. So it would be, how do I select one layer? That's not going to give me a good answer. If instead I say, how do I select a single layer in Photoshop 2020 on Mac? Or how do I change the brightness in Lightroom CC 2020? Those are going to get you answers that you need faster. There are a lot of differences between years that programs came out. There's also lots of differences, Mac PC, MacBook Pros to older Macs. It's important to be specific in your questions, okay? Next, it's really great if you can find the exact name of something that you are trying to find to fix or to do. So sometimes you can't figure out what Adobe is calling a certain thing. If you have your mouse over something and you're hovering, sometimes it'll give you that name. If that's not working, I would suggest you kind of bumble around Google till you figure out what something is called and then add that term to your search term and it will help you. Okay, here's a quote from a programmer about why it's great to add specific terms to your Google. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick demo. So you might be trying to figure out how to move the adjustment layers button in Photoshop, but not know what that's called, right? So you could try Googling, what's that half moon shape called in Photoshop? That might not work well. Then maybe you could try saying, okay, what are the layer buttons called in Photoshop? Find the name of that adjustment layers button, and then you can Google issues you might be having with that button. My adjustments layer isn't showing up, right? And I also advise checking Google Images against what you're finding out. So I'm going to do a quick demo here. I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare my desktop. Not my desktop, I'm going to reshare my Firefox. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to figure out how to change that half moon thing. I can say my half moon isn't showing up in Photoshop. That doesn't look like it's getting me answers that I need, right? This is like not talking about the right thing. So I might try taking a step backwards and say, okay, what are those buttons in the layer panel called? Okay, this looks like it gets me somewhere, right? This doesn't look like it's the answer, but if I can scroll down this, read these questions, this might be what I'm looking for. What are the 4 basic icons found in the layers panel? I can click this and it says pixels layer, adjustment layer, type layer. And I think maybe one of those is right. So I put them in Google Images, adjustments layer, and then, oh, look, it has it highlighted here for me. And I can figure out, I bet that's what it's called. So then I can go back to Google and say, how do I do blank in the adjustments layer? And that will get you the answers that you need easier. All right, sharing the PowerPoint again. Here we go. Okay. Next big idea is to use Boolean terms. If you've not heard of this word before, these are search terms, things that you add into your Google search that will help refine the search, get you the answers you need better and faster. These are words like and, an or, a minus sign, or a plus sign. These are all fabulous and will help you narrow down your search. The classic example, if I am looking for information about cars and I type cars into Google, but I don't want the movie, I don't want to hear about the animated movie, I can put a minus sign and then the word cars, and all those results will have nothing to do with the movie Cars, because I won't be seeing any results that have the word movie anywhere on their page, okay? You can also use Google Advanced Search. That will allow you to search for pages that have certain words on them and don't have other words and are in a certain language and based out of a certain part of the country, right? Super great. And is my favorite. So if I want for sure 2 terms in my search, whatever, I'm trying to figure out how to take care of my plants at home, spider plant and watering, right? I can put both of those phrases in quotes, spider plant in quotes and watering in quotes, add a plus sign or an and between them. And all of my results will make sure to have both of those words on the page, okay? This is when having those exact terms will help. If all of your results when you're Googling something are for Photoshop 2019, you can put Photoshop 2020 in quotes, and every search result will have Photoshop 2020 included, all right? Quotes. Here's a master list of a bunch of great Boolean terms for Google. I'm going to include this in the email that I send you with this video, okay? Super helpful. Don't get overwhelmed. If you only remember one, remember quotes will pull it exactly what you're looking for. My next favorite is the minus sign. If I put a minus sign and then a word, that word will not be included in my search results. You can also search site specific or file type specific. You do site colon, the site that you want, and then you type in your answer. This can be helpful for searching Adobe forums, right? So I can do site adobe.com and then ask an Adobe question, and I will only see results that are on adobe.com. All right. Last note is remember to give back as you are learning, as you are finding results from these wonderful forum posters, right? These wonderful people to answer questions online. Be sure to also be answering questions. If you come across a forum post and you know the answer, answer it. If a classmate has a question and you know the answer, respond to that Facebook post, right? Give back what you've learned because we all learn from each other. We all get better from learning from each other, okay? Also help your parents or whoever took care of you that's older and not good with technology. Help them learn how to Google, okay? Walk them through it. It's always good to give back. All right, I'm gonna do a quick demo for you all so that you get an idea of how this might work. Okay, so gonna stop sharing my PowerPoint and reshare Photoshop. Here we go. So let's say this is my Photoshop. And I want to get rid of a selection I have. I want to get rid of my sky for whatever reason. And I can't figure out how to get rid of this, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm like freaking out. I can Google, I should have shared my desktop. I can Google, how do I remove a selection in Photoshop, right? How do I delete a section? And then I am smart. I know what it's called. I know it's called a selection. I add Photoshop 2020 and I type in Mac because I'm on a Mac. And then look, it gives me the answer. Oh, I just pressed the delete key. So then I come back to Photoshop. I have my selection and I press the delete key. Ta-da! I figured out how to do something new all by myself. Okay? Last note for the PowerPoint, and then you're done listening to me for this video. Okay? Overall, what we've just talked about, remember to Google things first. Google is your friend. They are your best source of information. It will never make fun of you for having to Google something simple, okay? When you're Googling, include your computer specifics. I'm on a Mac, and include the version specifics. I'm working in Photoshop 2020, Adobe Illustrator 2020, okay? Remember that someone has always had the same problem that you've had, okay? Someone out there has answered your question. You just have to find it. Right? Remember to give back as you can. All right, let me know what questions you have. If you run into weird issues, I'm here for you. Take care, and I will see you in class.